Resolving conflicts at work so that everyone wins. A model for constructive resolution. This is Ron Guzik.
A key supplier is late on a shipment, again. Because he is a real hothead, you dread calling to prompt him. But these late shipments of his have put a terrible strain on your business. So you call. He quickly gets offended and starts to yell at you over the phone. Forgetting your resolve to keep your cool, you start yelling back and finish in a huff. When you hang up, not only is your late shipment still left unresolved, but now you are angry and frustrated to boot. You spend the rest of the day spinning your wheels unproductively. You like your partner, John, in the large retail outlet you have launched together. You enjoy having someone with whom to share the workload, and in general, your relationship is good. But periodically you get into knockdown, drag-out fights. The fights seem to come out of nowhere and are usually about some minor flap that could, you feel, be easily fixed if only you would both stay rational. Your market research firm is small but dynamic. You have some real scrappy people on board, and part of their energy flows into rivalries and quarrels. Despite your best intentions, you let yourself get drawn into these spats too. If only, you sigh after the umpteenth blow-up between you and your staff, we could talk things through without getting on each other's nerves. Is there any way out of such quagmires? How can you learn to talk to people such as the tardy supplier, the volatile partner, or the scrappy employees to improve your chances of getting your business needs met? Most of us may be tempted to pull back, to reduce the dealings we have with such people we consider difficult. And of course, the irony is that these same folks often think that we are the difficult side of the equation. Minimizing your interactions with others, however, is not the right road to better communications. Often, in fact, such pulling back only makes things muddier and it resolves nothing. The best model I have found yet for resolving such conflicts is called compassionate communication or nonviolent communication. It was developed by Marshall Rosenberg, Ph.D., whose booklet, A Model for Nonviolent Communication, describes the process. Rosenberg, who lectures around the U.S. and abroad, starts with the most common question in any culture. How are you doing? He ends up by showing us how to make a request to get the kind of response you need from the other person. Rosenberg's model has 4 key steps, couched as questions. Number 1, what are you observing? Number 2, what are you feeling? Number 3, what are your unmet needs? Number 4, how can you frame a request to match your needs? Step number 1, observing. This first step may be harder than you may think. Most of us find it terribly wrenching to separate our observations from our interpretations of a given event. Take the late shipment. What we know is happening is that the merchandise we need has not yet arrived. We also know that this has happened before. What we do not know is why the merchandise is late. Our interpretation may be that the supplier is slack, or cannot keep promises, or is just out to irritate us. But such interpretations, however, whether true or false, get in the way of doing the observing step properly. Here we have to take our clue from the late great Jack Webb of Dragnet fame, just the facts, ma'am. Often separating the facts from our interpretations will clarify things so much we will handle our dilemmas in much better fashion. In this regard, I like a passage from a poem from Rosenberg's booklet that gives the difference between observing and reaction from the perspective of the person who is catching the flack. I can handle your telling me what I did or didn't do. I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two. If you want to confuse any issue, I can tell you how to do it. Mix together what I do with how you react to it. Whenever we launch into attributing motives to someone or calling them an idiot or a clown, we have stopped observing and are into interpreting. So don't do it. Step number 2, feeling. If we are out of touch with our feelings, we are out of touch with what we truly want. Feelings are messengers that tell us if our wants and needs are being met and if our values are being satisfied. Consequently, we can greatly increase our productivity if we can learn to experience and express, in appropriate ways, our feelings and emotions. As a cultural whole, people in the United States are not very good with this, especially men. Most often we think it's inappropriate to express our feelings in a business context. But the truth is, we are not fully human until we give ourselves permission to express our feelings and let others do the same in our presence. The foremost emotion to emerge in many business relations, such as between partners, is, guess what? Anger. You come in one morning to find that your partner has fired the part-time administrative assistant without consulting you. You are very upset over this because you knew the young woman had been breaking up with her boyfriend and was going through a tough week, and that she promised to get her work back on track. Yes, you should express your anger, but not by accusing your partner of ignorance or hastiness or thoughtlessness. Remember, when sorting out your feelings, to say, I feel blank, whatever, hurt, disappointment, sad, angry, confused, frustrated. You are not expressing a feeling when you say, I feel that you shouldn't have fired the admin. What you are expressing is a thought or judgment. If we manage to pinpoint our feelings in a given situation, we will be able to move on to step 3 in Rosenberg's model, describing our unmet needs or expectations. Feelings will point the way to such needs always. Step 3, expressing needs. When we do not get what we want or need, we become unhappy and consequently less productive. So the first step towards being happy and productive is to know what we need and want, at work, at home, whatever. While this may seem patently obvious, many people just do not and cannot say what they want. In the partnership example just cited, you need to experience your partner as treating you as an equal in making important decisions. From your perspective, your partner has trampled all over your self-esteem. It is extremely important to identify something like this. In pinpointing what you needed or wanted that was left unfulfilled, you have positioned yourself for the final step in the process of conflict resolution. Step 4, making a request. If it is true that the steps already discussed are usually not taken very well or very consciously, the last step is rarely taken at all. Somehow we expect people around us to read our minds and simply deliver what we need without our ever asking or explaining to them what it is. This is unrealistic. To get our needs accommodated, we must get into the habit of identifying them and putting them into the form of concrete, specific requests. The more specific the request, the better, and try to frame the request in a positive form. One possible request to an associate might be, stop making decisions without consulting me. Much better would be to say, please include me in all major decisions. The second sentence will be better received and increases your chances of having your partner actually behave in the manner you desire. It is amazing how willing most people will be to help us, to meet us halfway when we phrase our requests constructively. It is equally amazing how people will dig in and resist us when we demand things in an aggressive or accusing tone. Be gentle with yourself in your efforts to apply Rosenberg's model. The techniques I have discussed here require practice. I have been aware of this model for several years now, and I have been attempting to use it for all this time. Even so, I have not mastered it. Far from it. When I am caught up in an upsetting situation, it feels like I go on automatic pilot. The model disappears, all the elements of the conflict get jumbled together, and I find myself mixing together in one nasty witch's brew the facts, emotions, interpretations, and judgments. What works for me, and what I suggest for you, is to review the model regularly, and practice, practice, practice. Also, after each conflict to which you are a party, sit down with yourself afterward and do a post-mortem. Imagine yourself having applied the model well, in a particular situation and ask yourself, what would I have done differently? Next time, try to do exactly that.